Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jessie and I do bookish lifestyle and planner things. Today is a lifestyle video and I come to you with warm lemon water, my comfy cozies. Today's video, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about my pregnancy thus far. This does mean I'm going to talk about my first and second trimester. I'm also going to be talking about the journey. Not going super in-depth into my actual appointments. Going pretty in-depth in just my thoughts thus far. I know that this can be a very touchy subject, so I just want to bring this forward that regardless of what I'm saying in this video, I am very grateful to be having this experience because I know a lot of women aren't able to have this experience. I know that this can be a very touchy subject, so I just wanted to preface and be very honest about what I'll personally be talking about. Without further ado, let's dive in. I do have my notebook with some notes on it, point form, so I guess we'll just start pre-pregnancy. My husband and I have been together for almost or just over a decade at this point, and children and our future is something that we started talking about quite early within our relationship, just our goals for our futures, our careers, and very much being on the same page. We've obviously changed what our future is going to look like and we talk a lot about that together, but it's always kind of been the same. We knew we wanted to get married and have a house and then have children, and about, not last year, the year before, I was diagnosed with PCOS. So prior to that, I was on many different birth controls, and after a few months I started having extreme symptoms, cramping all the time, headaches, so on and so forth. So I knew that there was something wrong with female organs that I have, but no doctor ever really dove in or diagnosed what it could be. I ended up going on the IUD a few years ago, and I had nothing but problems. Cramping and severe cramping, they say, is quite normal for the first 3 months. Let your body acclimate and get used to it, yada yada yada. My body did not. I had period cramping, like extreme cramping. I had never experienced this type of cramping. It literally took the breath from my lungs. It was hard to walk. My back was sore all the time, and I already have back issues with back spasms and such. And this went on for about 8 months before I went to a doctor, and I was like, hey, like, this isn't getting better. Like, I actually went to the hospital thinking something was wrong. They gave me an ultrasound, and they were like, it's literally said, like, the IUD is in the best position it could possibly be in. Maybe just give your body a little more time. I'm like, it's been 9 months. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we need to get this out. So they booked me with an OB and an obstetrician. He tried to take it out with forceps. It didn't work. He tried longer, bigger ones, didn't work. Had my cervix clamped open. If you've ever experienced that, you know how excruciating it is. He said I'd feel a little pinch. I did not. It was the most excruciating pain. Like, up there with back spasms. My body went completely hot. I almost passed out. And then he's like, no, I can't get it out. We're gonna have to, like, put you under to take this out. And I said, just freaking get it out of my body. I got up from that chair. If you're squeamish, I'm super sorry. You can fast forward a little bit. But the amount of blood when I got up off of that chair to redress, and they don't give you anything except a few tissues to clean yourself up. I was so lightheaded. I had no idea what he had just done. I got up and I was like, that's not gotta be normal. I walked out of that appointment, got in the car, my husband drove me, and I literally cried in the car from being in so much pain and shock. I also was under the impression prior to going to this appointment that he would get it out. So, which is why my husband drove me. I thought that we had already decided this and I was going under to get this taken out. No. Fast forward 2 months, it's November of 2022, and I finally go to the hospital. I go under and they take it out. The instant relief that I felt after that first night's sleep, because for the time I got it in, the second night, it was put in my body, till the night after I got it taken out, I had not had a full night's rest without having my body wake myself up because of the pain it was in. I couldn't lay down, I couldn't be on my side. I slept with a heating pad most nights, which I know you're not supposed to do, but it was the only relief I could take. I was on Tylenol, Motrin, any over-the-counter I could take safely, I was taking. I had to literally stand up and like rock my hips because the cramping was so bad. I felt it in my back, I felt it in my hips, I felt it in my stomach where cramping normally happens. It was terrible. And I was waking up with this every single night, multiple times for 10 months. And it was terrible. So that first night after was so much relief, and I literally cried the next morning. I didn't even get out of bed. I literally opened my eyes and started crying because I had had a full night's rest. Crazy. So fast forward a year, we're trying but we're not trying, and my birthday is in December, and we were going to our friend's house because they had recently acquired their first home, and we were so excited. We wanted to go there and celebrate with them, and another couple and their kids were coming, and it was just a lot of fun. So I was picking my husband, I drove him into work, and then I was going to pick him up on our way down south. That morning, I immediately like woke up and had to vomit, and I was like, oh no, like, am I getting sick? And I only vomited once, but I just felt off. I had a headache, nothing was really sounding good to me to eat in the morning, and it was just weird. And I had this thought, maybe I'll just take a test. And I had taken the test, just one of those strip ones, and it was the faintest line that was there. Almost to the point where like I thought that I was tricking myself into thinking there was a line. And I know they're progressively getting darker, but they're like cheap strip ones. So I went to the drugstore, I picked up a test, I took it, and I was clearly pregnant. I'm like, this is really early. Like, this has gotta be like week 3 or 4. My period, not being on any birth control, was very irregular. I was having my period at this time for like 2 days and it would be gone. And then I'd have it for like 6 days and then it would be gone for 2 weeks. And then I would have again. And then it was like all over the place. So I never knew when I was going to get my period. So at this point, I'm like, I haven't had one yet. It's been a few weeks. I don't know. So anyways, once I took the drugstore one, I was like, okay, like I definitely, like, this is 4 to 5 positive tests at this point. Later that evening, I picked my husband up from work and we're in the car, and I was like, so we are gonna have to move around or change the timeline of our house renos because we're currently renovating our home. And he was like, why? And I was like, because we're gonna have a little one come next summer. And we were all giddy and super happy, and he was like, no way. And I was like, way. So we were kind of talking about it on our way down, and we didn't obviously tell anyone because it's extremely early. Like this, like I said, it's gotta be like week 3 or 4. Our friends cook amazing food. Half of the relationship is Portuguese, the other half is Cuban, and their food is phenomenal. And these were a lot of meals that we had had before, but the smell of cooking, and that was like my first real symptom. Was the smell food aversions. I wanted to eat food, but the smell of it cooking totally threw me off. I tried to discreetly vomit like once or twice while we were there. I'm like, Tyler, can you grab my toothbrush? He's like, why? And I'm like, he's like, oh, okay, I got you. And then we had Christmas. My husband is one of 4. And so cooking and meal planning isn't all on my in-laws. We all kind of make a chart and figure out how long everybody's going to be there, and then we plan meals. Like everybody kind of takes a meal or whatever, or 2 people, however it works out. Everybody for breakfast one morning pretty much had bacon, including us, because I don't eat a lot of bacon to begin with because it's hard on my digestive system. We'll get into that in a second. But the smell of everybody cooking bacon was not it. I think I almost threw up probably 4 or 5 times, extremely discreetly. I just like let out our dog and went and gagged and like took in the air of Canadian winter in the north. It was hard, but I made it through. Symptom that I had in my first trimester was hunger pangs. And I'm not talking like I'm just a little hungry all the time, like hunger. Have you ever felt so sick because you're hungry? Like you have a headache, you feel dehydrated, but I wasn't. I'm drinking so much water now that I'm pregnant, and I was drinking a lot of water before pregnancy. And like your stomach hurts because you're so hungry. I was feeling that. And then I would eat. And no matter how much I would eat, a meal, 2 bites, like a sip of a smoothie, it literally felt like I had just spent 4 hours at an all-you-can-eat buffet. I was so bloated. I felt so full I was sick. And 20 minutes later, the cycle would happen all over again. And it was terrible. I would wake up in the middle of the night starving. And yogurt was my best friend because it wasn't a solid. So it was great. I would have like 2 little packets of yogurt every single night. And it's funny because my husband would wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and he would just like open his eyes because I have my little bedside lamp on, and he would look over and see me like mowing yogurt, and he would just giggle and go back to bed because he knew. But yeah, those were really the 3 symptoms I had in the first trimester. The food in my throat thing obviously is still happening, but it's not as bad. Another symptom that I had was food in my throat. And I have had digestive issues for probably 6 to 7 years, 5 to 6 years at this point. And every doctor that I had seen previously was pretty much just like, it's a digestive problem, here's some medication for GERD and blah, blah. It never worked. The OB, because we go to a clinic with multiple OBs, she mentioned that it doesn't sound like a digestive issue, it sounds like an esophagus anatomy issue. So either you have a widening and food is just coming and going freely, because I don't get the burn of acid reflux. If you've ever had acid reflux, I don't get that burning sensation. It's literally just food. Or she said it could be a narrowing and my food's not being digested fast enough. And again, the food that's just there being digested is coming and going freely before that narrowing, which we can't deal with until after pregnancy. She was like, I'm surprised you haven't had an endoscopy yet, because this seems like that would be their first. And I was like, no, it hasn't even come up once. She was like, all right, well, getting a family doctor here in our area is quite difficult, and once you become pregnant, they try and find you a doctor. So she was pretty much like, it's gonna go on your file. When we find you a family doctor, we'll get that checked out first. And I said, okay, great. She's like, unfortunately though, because unless it's like a dire need or an emergency, we don't want pregnant women going under anesthesia, especially for a procedure like that. So you're gonna have 9 months of the same thing. And I was like, at least I have a different answer that may help, and that will get me through the 9 months of pregnancy. So I am kind of excited for that. So fast forward to my second trimester. I am now 22 weeks as of yesterday, and we found out that we were having a boy. This is actually kind of a funny story because the boy things have come so easy, and I had a very strong feeling really early on, like the day that we found out, I was like, I kept using the male form of speaking about the baby. We were gonna go with a name, and the name came extremely easy to us. And it took like going through with my husband like 4 names, and then I said the 5th one that we were gonna go with, and he was like, yep, that's it. And it was the same with our dog, comparing crazy, but when we were looking for dogs, it was very much the same. We were gonna go with a male beagle, and we had found one. The day we were going to pick it up, I asked for the address, and they were like, actually, we sold him. So I was gutted. We were both gutted. Then my husband found this lady online. She owns a farm. She had a ton of beagles, but they had just had a new litter that was ready to go. And he was like, hey, I saw your ad. Can we come pick up this dog? She's like, there's another guy looking at her. She's the runt. Nobody really wants her. He's kind of been dicking me around a little bit. If you want her, come and get her. So we did. So we didn't have any names for females. And in the car after we got her, I was rhyming off names, and we said Autumn, and he was like, that's it. So it was very much the same situation. Like, I was naming off names. I only got to the 5th one. He was like, nope, that's it. And then this past week, actually, I was like, I'm like talking to the baby using that name. And then I started picturing this child when they got older. I'm mixed. My husband is white. I know my sister's children, and we're very much the same shade of mixed. And her children are with white males as well. And picturing them and our child, and I was like, that name just isn't going to suit them later. Like, it's going to be a beautiful baby name, but this is going to follow them. Like, just the vibe we both get from the movement of our child at the moment, like what they're going to look like in the future. That name, just really didn't suit him. So there was a name that I've had, because up until this point we knew we were going to have children. We don't know how many, but we know we were going to have children. So in a notes app in my phone, I just been writing names that I find really beautiful or cool or whatever. And there was a name, the very first name that ever came up that I had in my notes app. And I looked back at it, and I was going through the names, and I was like, I can't get this name out of my head. It just keeps coming up. And when I picture our child as a young man into adulthood, it just stuck with me. So I went to my husband, I was like, hey, I know we both really love this name, but I don't think it's going to suit him in the future. And he's like, oh, well, why? I really love our name. And so I explained the situation to him, and he was like, I see your point. I understand. So what's the name you got? Because I know you have one. And I said it, and he was like, okay, let's do it. That's the name. So we changed our baby's name. That was really fun. That was really enjoyable. Telling our parents was a cool experience as well. Telling all of our friends was really great. It was just a really fun, special moment. Telling my in-laws was fantastic. I had gotten flowers for both of our moms, and little bouquets. And they were blue hydrangeas and some white roses, and they were like, that's so exciting. Telling my mom wasn't this exactly the same experience. The first thing she said was, no, I wanted a girl. I don't want a little name we were gonna choose. And so it kind of ruined it a little bit, but at the end she's like, congratulations, and she kind of left. So it wasn't the best experience, but that's fine. We're still super excited, and yeah. So other things within trimester 2, like symptoms, I've also been craving more things, and not like craving, but like just craving ice cream. I've been really craving ice cream here and there. Sushi. We are pretty big sushi eaters until I got pregnant, and I think it's just because I can't have it, and I really love sushi. But we've done other substitutions for Asian food and stuff, but I've been baking more. I don't know why. Sandwiches. I am loving sandwiches, any sandwiches. Paninis, grilled cheese. I had a huge infatuation with last week. Every single day for lunch I had a grilled cheese. Toasted sandwiches. I'm just really loving sandwiches this whole pregnancy. And it's great to have for lunch because they digest fast enough before bed. And then I'll have like a smaller dinner, which is nice. But I just haven't been eating a lot of really high carbs at nighttime, like pastas, rice. Just dinners are smaller portions for me now. Mostly eating vegetables with dinner. I always make sure I have 1 or 2 veggies, or having a salad, because those are easy for my body to digest and they feel good. I'm getting the nutrients that I need to. But yeah, so those are all the big things. And next one I wanted to kind of go over was some of the concerns. I have some back problems. Having a vaginal birth was a very big concern for me. It's an open conversation that I'm having with my OBs. Like I said, I go to a clinic, so I don't just see one. But it's an open conversation we're having. The head obstetrician that I'm seeing, she did some research on my situation, and she said, if you want to do the vaginal birth and not have a scheduled cesarean or a C-section, we can do that. So that's wonderful to be on the table. But if I have a back spasm, then I'm also out for 2 weeks. Not being able to move. I can't shift the weight of my hips at all. I'm literally bedridden. My husband helps me to the bathroom. Like, I don't move really. So that was a really big concern. But she said, you know, with an epidural and going to a specific pelvic floor, pregnancy, low back physiotherapist, like that could really help you too. So I have some appointments with them coming up in July, which is really exciting. Hopefully they can help. Baby has been moving a lot. My husband actually got to felt him move for the first time, not last night, the night before, which was really exciting. And another concern was preeclampsia. I get migraines and headaches quite frequently, and that is a really big indicator for preeclampsia. So it's been a rainy, thunderstormy mess for the last week and a half. So I've been getting a lot of headaches and stuff, and when I called, I talked to one of the OBs, and because I've been getting them since I started having a period, she was like, it's not a big concern, but it is a concern. So aspirin has been researched, and they have found, they as in the medical field, have found taking 2 aspirin can help prevent preeclampsia starting at 20 weeks as a preventative measure. I started taking them earlier just because of my individual circumstances, but that is a big thing too. And they pretty much said if there's anything out of the norm that you wouldn't normally deal with, that's when the headaches or migraines become a concern. Because if you know anything about migraines, they can last for multiple days. So if it's lasting longer than they normally would for me, that's when we would have a concern. If I'm getting multiple headaches or multiple migraines in a row, that's also a concern. So really keeping track of the symptoms has been extremely important for me personally. And I've just been using my Garmin app. I have a Garmin watch. I love this new feature of Garmin because they added the pregnancy tracker is quite a few years old now, but they added the period tracker, but they've added the pregnancy tracker option as well, so the symptoms kind of change a little bit, and the list of symptoms as well, so like your mood, the actual symptoms like nausea, vomiting, backache, brown ligament pain, contractions. All of those are now an option, as well as adding notes, which is great because I can just bring my phone and look at the calendar feature, or I can print off the information and bring that physically with me. So that's also a really nice feature of the Garmin that I love. It was also extremely helpful backtracking a little when I was doing the IUD, because I had been writing notes like how many times I was waking up in the evening, what I was taking, all of those things. So I highly recommend Garmin. I know that other activity trackers, you can do the same thing. If you are a person who gets a period or who's pregnant, I would 110% use those things available to you because they are so helpful. I think that's it for now. I will probably do another one of these at the end of the 3rd trimester, and then probably after the baby is born. I have been feeling really good. Energy is up and down, I'll also say, but I don't think pregnancy has really had a huge impact on my back. I just haven't fully recovered since my last back spasm. Just doing what physio has told me to do. I'm super excited to start new physiotherapy in July, like I said, with a pelvic floor specialist who also concentrates on back pain as well as pregnancy. I'm super excited for that. Hopefully I can do really well in birth. As long as baby and I are safe, I don't care what needs to happen to have this baby out of me. As long as we are both healthy and safe, that's all I care about. To make that as easy as possible on my body, I will do. Because when you're in stress or in pain or strained, baby is as well. So I'm just taking it one day at a time. Some days I'm super emotional and I cry for no reason. I will do another one of these updates, like I said, probably at the end of the 3rd trimester. Give you all the updates, all the details, all the tea. Thank you if you watched till the end of this video. It was a little chaotic. My energy is pretty low today, so having this smooth chat. I had a different video I was going to film today, but I switched them around because this felt, 1, a little more intimate, and 2, like I said, I can just sit here with my feet up with my lemon water and just have a chat. So thank you all for watching. I am super grateful, super happy that I get to experience pregnancy because, again, I know this can be a very triggering topic. I know that a lot of women struggle with fertility and pregnancies and birth, and I'm super grateful to have this experience and to go through what I am, regardless of how hard I think it is. I do know that I am one of the lucky individuals who get to have this experience. Yeah, I'm just super grateful. I'm gonna go finish this lemon water, probably edit this video for next week, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.